I'm going to try to have Ryan Stewart in the next week or two so we could do the upcoming changes, the form changes in July. Try to get him on for that. Rich and Fred there. Yeah, Rich and Fred are there. Oh, hey, Rich. Hey, Fred. All right, we don't have that much today anyhow, so I'll start with what we got. 30-some people will go anyhow. I already forgot what I wanted to say first. Transaction sheets, is that confirmed Carol received it? Oh, so some quick things before I go to the slides. We ran into some issues lately where you thought you sent it, Carol didn't get it. Carol, you know, I would follow up anything you're sending Carol with a confirmation. Say, hey, just confirming you got it. You know, we ran into a few issues with contracts that we thought were turned, you thought were turned in, they weren't turned in, or we never received it. Just try to follow up with some kind of a confirmation that she got it is the best thing to do that. The transaction sheets, unless there's something's changed since my time, I don't know what it takes to fill out a transaction sheet promptly and correctly. But we get them filled out half right. We get the contracts without the transaction sheets. You got to do them. You got to do them in a timely fashion. It doesn't help me getting it a week later. It doesn't help us getting it when you finally have a contract on a listing, then we get the listing. It just throws off the numbers. It's just not right. You got to do this stuff in a timely fashion. So I try not to browbeat you on that, but it's just crazy sometimes. What else did I want to ask you guys? Ryan Stewart I'll have here. Other than that, you know, I just, I'm assuming like most of you, kind of like the last few days depressed upon what's going on. I'm not big on talking about politics or any of those things, but if somebody who's been around 60 years and watched this through the years, you just keep thinking it's going to change. Something's going to change. It's going to get better. It's going to be different, and it doesn't. And it's so sad when you watch these things, what goes on with it. I often thought like, you know, being Jewish, I'm sensitive to the Middle East. And I always thought that nothing will ever change that unless it's changed at birth, okay? You know, we all know nobody's born a racist, nobody's born, you know, anti-Semitic, any of those things. And you keep thinking it's going to happen. Same thing in the Middle East. You know, it's what they teach them when they're little. And until that changes, I don't know if it'll ever change. It's just so sad. And then, of course, all the mess that follows is just crazy. All right. Let's go to the slides.
Oops. Wrong screen. Can everyone see that? Can everyone see it?
Everybody sees it, right? Yeah. So happy anniversary, Mary. 32 years. Congratulations. Yikes. Right out of elementary school or something. All right, birthday. I don't think there's any birthdays. Is there a birthday slide? No birthday. I got 100 people. Nobody was born in June? Oh, I guess this first week in June. All right, next slide. We'll send these out, the absorption rates. Next slide. Virtual open houses, we continue to do pretty well with those. 18, a little less than the week before. I think a little more than the week before. A little fewer guests, more virtual opens. That's still doing well. Still some good stories with leads on that. We had another live open that I know of one. There was more, please shout out. But I know that Mary did a live open at hers this week. She did it by appointment, but did it live. Good traffic, I think she said 22 or 23 people came through. So that was really good. Again, you know, we're trying to be careful. If you have a vacant house and you want to do one, let's talk about it. Let me know. We have some real success with the one that was done a couple weeks ago as well in North Arlington. So, you know, hopefully things will just keep moving forward and easing up and get better and better with that. Next slide. So last week we took 10 listings, so that picked up an average sales price of almost 700. Total sales, 17 sales in the last week. That's how busy he got last week for almost $11 million. So you guys just really killed it last week. There was a time where I didn't think there was any chance of hitting 50 for the month, and then we passed 50. And all under one roof, still fantastic. MBH, right there, Wyker Financial. I'm going to get to some slides on that in a minute. Next, Cynthia. So May, again, you guys just unbelievable. We ended up with 52 revenue units. That was 4 more revenue units than last May without the pandemic. So it's just, so last May was probably a little off. For May, you know, we should have closer to 60, 65. But having 52 is what we're going through is just incredible. And like I said, in the last week, you guys put in 17 contracts in just the last 7 days. So that's just really unbelievable, fantastic, great job. Just shows you how focused you are and on top of your game and what you're doing. We took 25 listings last month, which is pretty good. I mean, consider what's going on in listing inventory. And you can see some numbers about listings year to date that are pretty interesting. Closed revenue units, that's where we're gonna, when you see a number like 23 in this office, just it's tens of thousands of dollars we're gonna lose for the month of May. Now, the closed revenue units clearly reflect the business we did in April, right? So April was a nightmare. And of course now that's coming to roost because it's May and those settlements aren't happening. So an office like this, if we don't do at least 32, 33, 34 closed revenues in months like June and July, May and June, it should be like, 45, 50, so that was really off, but understandable. I mean, April was really the bottom of it. So you clearly you can see we're coming with 52 revenue units this month. Next month's closings will not look like 23. All right, next slide. Some year-to-date stuff, just to give you an idea with the office. Revenue units as of, this was as of, I think, Friday, we had 210 that's contracts, 210 contracts, revenue units. It's down 14 year over year. I got to tell you, that's amazing. With what we've been going through in the last 60, 90 days, back to be only down 14 revenue units is amazing. And before all this started, okay, January, February, March, we were crushing last year. Okay, so April clearly hurt us and took us back quite a step. But again, you guys, fantastic job. To be down only 14 revenue units is amazing. The next number is unbelievable. We actually we've taken 125 listings. We're 11 listings more than last year. This year, with all the inventory problems, with all the pandemic problems, we actually have more listings than we had last year at this time. We've taken more listings. Closed revenue units, again, up until March, we were crushing it. And then now we're down 13 revenue units year over year. Again, the number is so small compared to what we're living through that it's just amazing. And, looking at the numbers, because I see the numbers for all of the company, the region, New Jersey. I mean, some of these offices and some of these regions are just getting killed. I mean, just getting killed. I think some places like New Jersey where there was tighter reins on it really, really had a bad effect on some of them. But even our own region, we have some offices that are, down 40, 45% over last year. So, and interesting, I think I mentioned before, we have offices that are usually in the middle of the pack are leading the pack. I mean, Fredericksburg did 57 revenue units last month. Fredericksburg usually takes 3 months to do 57. I mean, it's like off the charts there. It's like unbelievable. All right, next slide. Just some other information. So this is a pretty interesting number. We've always done pretty well. So in 2019, the average commission we're retaining, okay, has been 2.71%. Knowing what we live through today with 2.5s and all this and all that, that was pretty impressive. 2020, we're running at 2.74. So that's really impressive. Considering what we all know the market is today and what we're up against with the pressure on commission, that's really an amazing number. And, I used to do something when I managed, I never done it here, but years ago, I used to, at the end of a quarter, put up in my sales meeting a board, and I would cover the name to protect the innocent, but it would be some agents, and it would show what an agent for that quarter or that year to date, what their percentage, their listing percentage. And you'll look down the column, it'll say, 2.5, 2, 1.5, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. And then the agent on the other side will say 3, 3, 3, 2.5, 3, 2.5, 3, 3, 2.5. That's not by accident, okay? You like to think that, well, their clients are different. It's not true. It's what we say, how we say it, and how we make people understand what the value is, what we do, and how we do it, and why it's not our little 0.5% that's going to make the difference at the end of the day in their bottom line number if they hire the wrong person. So, but again, great job. 2.74 in retained commission is just really fantastic. This next one kind of hurts us. So our average sales price this time last year was at $639. It's at $596 right now. That difference, oh, I didn't put it on the screen, but that difference converts to, if you multiply the difference, 40-some thousand by the deals we've done, take it by times 2.74, divide it up, we're missing $196,000 in gross commission on that. Think about that. I mean, when these offices are running so close to break even, not a couple $100,000 more in gross commission income, and based on our, you know, after we pay the agents, it's still whatever it is, $30,000, $40,000 that's missing in office money. So it does have an effect. Not much, obviously, we could do about that. But that's just, and what's interesting about that is prices have gone up. But our base is doing business further and further out. We're doing more Maryland deals than we did. We're doing further this way. So if it's in markets that the average price is less, it's affecting our price, which, listen, you know, it is what it is, but it does have an effect on the bottom line. These numbers are amazing. Mortgage, Rich and Fred. Well, let me go the other way first. Title's down 20%, insurance is down 22%. They're not down because you guys are doing any less work. They're down because there's less transactions, okay? So when I'm comparing those numbers, you know, 100 compared to 80 makes this number smaller because there's less transactions. That's what makes the mortgage number even more amazing. They're up 35% year over year at a time where our transactions right now are down. So it just shows you how far they've moved the needle and the amazing job they've done. And I give examples every week. I know I was talking to Suki last night. She was here with me, and she just did another 1.2 million that she got through with Rich and Fred. I'm just telling you, it's just, if you're not giving your clients the opportunity to speak to them, based especially on what's going on there with some of these loans, jumbo loans, get them to settlement, even appraisals. I'm in the middle of 2 appraisal issues right now where the lenders didn't want to talk about it. A few weeks ago, we had one that Rich and Fred and the team up in New Jersey handled and straightened out. Can't always say you can do that, but at least we know we have people that we can call and we'll work on it. I'm working on 2 now, more than $1 million ones that nobody to call. You know, nobody wants to hear about it. So fantastic job, you guys. Unbelievable. They'll speak in a minute. What's next, Jacinta? Oh, so let's do these now. New listings and things to come. And again, it seems to be getting busier and busier. I know I spoke to a lot of you that have appointments, things coming up. So that's fantastic. I mean, I think we started the first day in June with 3 contracts already. So June, we're shooting for at least 60. So hopefully it's going to get busier and busier. Is Mary or Michael on the call? They could take themselves off of mute still, right, Jacinta? Yeah. Either one on the call to talk about this? No? All right.
I can talk about
I'm here. I'm here.
It's beautiful.
Well, Leslie's an expert on Montebello, so she knows all the units.
Yeah, turns out my buyers aren't ready to buy it, but it is a beautiful unit, open kitchen. It faces, as they said, sunset views. Comes with a garage. Very nice.
I tried to hit it.
Somebody else spoken? No? All right, next slide. Oh, now it's your turn, Leslie.
Oh, well, mine's coming up by the end of the month. It's a little bit smaller model, but the difference is that both bathrooms have been completely redone. Kitchen is a little bit older renovation than Mary and Michael's. And mine is hardwood floors. And of course, it does include the garage space. People like that floor plan because it has a separate bedroom, bathroom suites.
All right, next one. I don't, is Benita, are you on? All right, so Benita has it's a reno. I think she actually owns it. They
Mark, I'm
renoed the whole
on.
thing. Oh, you on, Benita?
Yes, I
Oh,
am.
go ahead, speak to the house.
Yes, this is a two-level townhouse in Franconia Commons, which is between Franconia Road and Beulah Road. It's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, completely remodeled, kitchen, bathrooms, and the exterior is newly painted throughout. Still unsure on the price, but somewhere in the mid-400s right now.
The mid fours or the low fours? You have it at 406.
Yeah, I do, but I'm still looking at the price.
All right, all right. You'll update us. I saw some pictures. It looks really, they did a really nice job in there. It's a nice unit. All right, next one. Lisa, I think Lisa's in the middle of something. So I talked to Lisa about this. I did a little research on it for her. A beautiful house. They did a lot of upgrades, a lot of updating. North Arlington. I think that price has now been set. We're going back and forth. It seems no matter what price we do in North Arlington, it sells for more. But it's right. Well, it says it's right near the metro. And like I said, they did a lot of really nice upgrades over the years since they've had it. So I think that's when she said it's coming on. It's coming on in about a week on that one. What's next? Rich and Fred. When are you guys there? Oh, you guys are there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mark.
Hey.
Next slide, please. So we're basically market update. Everybody's looking at the news. So two big items in the news causing fluctuations in the market, but the market hasn't really. Looks like it's starting to now, but it hasn't really priced that stuff in. You know, the stock market is always looking 6 months ahead. So we have a completely different view as to what's going on right now. There's some movement because something now will affect things 6 months from now, but there's really been more of a calming of interest rates, calming of the mortgage market. As the numbers are coming in, even though terrible and trailing, the numbers are coming in pretty much what folks thought. So unemployment number, coming closer to 20%, definitely improving now. As people go back to work, especially after June 1st. So those numbers will probably be getting better, which will help people's confidence, consumer confidence, all the numbers. So as we go now, refinances definitely tailed off almost 80-90% as the banks and credit unions are just clogged with stuff. Mark was talking about those numbers being so high last year. We've definitely moved the needle, but a little bit of that helped us was that our numbers went up because last year rates dropped and people started to refinance. The banks and credit unions, their time frames for processing went out 45, 60 days. And then, obviously we're at that point the only game in town. So next slide, please. Interest rates, this is a great chart showing the Freddie Mac survey. It does show something unique that I have gotten a lot of questions about. I continue to get people interested in adjustable rated mortgages. You can see there the middle line, the orange line, that although the 15-year and the 30-year pretty much go down in lockstep, the ARMs, they tend to, as the 15 and 30-year go down, the ARMs tend to stay pretty consistent. And so if you had a big spike up in rates, let's say the 30-year was back to 4.5 or something like that, you would see the 5-year ARMs stay pretty much the same. It'd tick up a little bit, and that would again be a value. But at this point, there is no value in the ARMs. So people inquiring about adjustable rated mortgages, it's just, a 3, 5, 7, even a 10-year ARM is not going to be competitive. You're going to get the same price at a 15-year or 30-year, depending on what you want. So nice chart to show how things have gone down over time, but also how the fixed rates and the ARMs kind of flow. Next slide, please. I'm gonna run through this quick, but it goes back to the point that you know, there's a few items in the market that make it important not to just say, if someone says they're pre-approved, you say great and move forward. It's definitely working, getting a second opinion in this market is important. If you go to the next slide, I think it shows the processing times. They're for some folks, like, you know, Navy Federal, Pentagon Federal, as always, USAA, are just out of touch. So, you know, they can just even ask the folks, you know, what are your processing times? And they'll tell them right away that they're closer to 45 to 60 days. I've seen differing time frames actually with the same banks, but you know, that kind of puts them out of the running when it comes to a quick contract. So you don't want to really find that out, you know, at night when you're writing the contract. So definitely express the importance of a good local lender. You know, it's always okay to refer someone who works in your office, works with you, works with your own company, and has a good reputation and can get it done in the time frames that's required by the market at the moment. Next slide. As shown in the customer service surveys, not only, you know, Fred and I have been pretty consistent with service and getting that up to 100% as far as satisfaction, but the rest of the company has really just gone crazy. I mean, last year when they concentrated on service and all the different touches that have progressed, and then when folks moved to home, you saw the service levels, you know, go from where they were at like 95% in the company. Now they're at 99 to 100% every single day. And that's, you know, in-house mortgage companies are always between 90 and 95, which is the best in the industry. And then you see between 80 and 90 at the banks, and sometimes all over the place, depending on which credit union. But, you know, you're seeing now 99% for the rest of our company, which we're really proud of. Next slide, please. Last week, we indicated the home prices had risen 7.5% nationally in the past 12 months, April to April. Approximately how many years would it take for a home's price to double at that rate, 7.5%? I don't know if you guys know the rule of 7. Anybody in the chat? Good try, Leslie. Not quite A. She chose A. 7 years. A little bit more. It's gonna take 9.5 years. B. Good job, Chris. 9.5 years. B. But you know, Fred and I are raring to go. We have unlimited capacity. Yes, our numbers are up. We've done in the first 3 months of the year, we did as much loan volume as 2017, and in the first half of the year, we're going to close as much as 17 and 18 combined. So, but what's happened is that with the compression of time frames, you know, to 21 to 30 days, it has been moving along really quick. We have staffed up big time, and if there's anything you need, a second opinion, anything like that, we're here to help.
Okay. We'll send the rest of these slides. All right, today we get done early, but I just want a couple things I want to finish up with, and then if anybody has any questions. One, you know, always remember that, you know, I always talk about different issues that came up in the past week or things like that. You can never ever have a situation because of something we do that an offer doesn't get in the time frame it's needed to get in on. Okay, you can't, as the agent, put it on the back burner. I'll get to it later. Okay. You know, if it's our client, that's a different story. You didn't get it in on time. You didn't do what I asked you. You didn't give it back. But it can never fall on us. If that means you have to remind them, say, look, there's a deadline. They're going to look at it, you know, Can't have that happen. You know, time of the essence. You got to do what what the job is. And the other thing, and I've spoken about this before, and many on this phone call know it, do it. But as we get busier and busier and multiple offers, I would encourage you, if you continually lose out, reach out to me or to one of your fellow agents who've been doing this a long time, of different tips and ideas and things you can say and the way you say them that can give you a better opportunity of winning the offer, okay? So I would just keep that in mind. I know all weekend and during the week I talk to people all the time about these things and try to help them through it. And sometimes, like I said, for some of us, we've been doing it so long, it's second nature. But for some, they don't even, think about it. Sometimes it's just a little thing, let them have the lease back for 2 weeks for free. Whatever little thing is, sometimes that makes the difference of getting it, not getting it, and how you present it and what you say. So as it gets busier and busier, please reach out if you need any help with that. I'm always available. I think that's it. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about or have any questions? Just to go out of this screen for a second, just so I can see if anybody's waving their hands or anything. Anything else? For those, I think I told you we're taking a step back on the Mike Weichert and Jacinta and I. We're going to take small groups at a time and try to reset it and get it going. So we're doing some Zoom calls first to set up the groups. There was an initial 10. If you were on that list, you didn't answer me yet, answer me. We're expecting you to be there tomorrow morning for that phone call. Then we'll do the next group. Then we're going to break out into small groups and we're going to try to reset. We're 6 months into it. Some people are doing phenomenal with it. Some people are doing some amazing things with it. Some people, no. So we want to reset and make sure we take the opportunity step by step again to try to specifically the part that generates leads for you. The entering your database, the campaigns. We're doing that step by step. We'll probably do them by Zoom meetings in groups of 5 over the next few weeks. Anyhow, we'll get it eventually to everybody, but we sent out an initial Zoom call for tomorrow with 10. That's not the call starting, it's just to discuss it. If you're on that list and you didn't respond. All right, I think that's it. Any other questions, anything else? Great, 10:30. Good job, Mark. All right, you guys rock. Thanks for everything. I'm in the office if you need. Oh, I got to leave early today. I have a meeting in Vienna. I'll be here till 2:30. All right, talk to you.